I have never really been interested in EFF politics, and therefore do not know the leadership other than Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambo, who has now left the EFF. So allow me to introduce me to Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. I say me because I do not know who this person is, but suddenly his name is coming up all over the news channels. So I thought I should take a look into who he is and what this news and controversy is all about. Welcome to the Rianru Show, where I look into those stories that affect every South African in some or other way. Politics, to many, is a boring subject, which is best left to old people looking to argue with other old people about who is right and who is wrong. Or is that who is right and who is left? Have it as you will. Politics is out there and it affects us all in some other way, no matter how you try to distance yourself from it. Saying that we do not need politics or refusing to acknowledge it or discuss it does not make it go away. It is out there. And knowing how it works and how it affects the country, and in the end affects you as an individual, is important. Knowing the key players who use their power and influence to steer ideas and decisions helps one understand why some things happen in the management of a country, or in some cases would explain why things break. I've been around a lot longer than the EFF has existed, and I thought that I knew most of the guys at the top levels. But here I have proven myself wrong again, as a new name rises to the top of the media pool. I use the term new loosely, as the name is new to me, yet he seems to be one of the older group of EFF members, a founding member. I now find myself in a situation where I'm intrigued by this name, this man called Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and I want to find out more about him, and why the media is suddenly so interested in him. But my main sources of finding out who this man is, sadly, is the media. The very same media who seems to want to throw him to the wolves and then stand back and watch as he is torn to pieces. All while they take notes and lick their lips at the thought of their next trending headline, explaining the process of his demise. I try to find out more about who this man is from sources other than the media. And I hope that what I summarize here is not too skewed by media-driven agendas. You are welcome to add any information you have in the comments section, but please, let's keep it civil. To me, this is a story with some real political intrigue. You know, the ambition, loyalty, and maybe even a little bit of betrayal. I've been reading a whole bunch of articles, and there seems to be some serious drama, including talk of possible suspension and maybe even being kicked out of the EFF's upcoming elective conference. But let me step back and introduce Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and what makes him such a major player. Ndlozi is not just some politician. The guy's got a PhD in political sociology, which already makes him stand out. You know, in a field where a lot of people don't have that kind of academic background. He was actually one of the founding members of the EFF back in 2013, when he teamed up with Julius Malema right from the get-go. So he was there from the very beginning, helping to build the party's identity and message. So he has got to be significant. And it went way beyond just shaping the party's ideas. He became the EFF's first official spokesperson, which obviously put him in the spotlight right away. And that's where his communication skills, you know, all that stuff he learned getting his PhD, really came in handy. He was able to explain the EFF's ideas, even some of the more radical ones, in a way that connected with a bigger audience. And he really seemed to connect with the younger voters. This connection also got him his nickname, the People's Bay. Not your typical political nickname. Yeah, the People's Bay definitely says something about his charisma and how he's been able to connect with that younger generation. The ones who are often pretty disillusioned with the whole traditional political establishment. He really tapped into the frustrations and hopes of young South Africans who are dealing with crazy high unemployment, not a lot of opportunities, and kind of feeling like the older generations failed them. You know, a brilliant, charismatic guy who seems super connected to the EFF space, especially young people. So the question is, why is he suddenly being pushed aside? Well, that's where things take a bit of a turn. The articles I have read here suggest that Ndlozi's problem started around the time when Jacob Zuma put together his MK party. A bunch of the big names in the EFF, including the Deputy President Floyd Shivambo, eventually left the EFF to join Zuma's party. I say it again, the Deputy President of the EFF. It's a powerful position, second only to the party's Commander-in-Chief. So them leaving was a huge blow to the EFF. Okay, so we've got this major shake-up going on inside the EFF. And it sounds like Ndlozi's response, or actually his lack of response, is what got him into trouble with the party leadership in the first place. Ndlozi basically stayed quiet during all this turmoil. He didn't say anything bad about Shivambo leaving, or criticize the others who went with him. He didn't even come out and say he was sticking with the EFF. And in politics, where image is everything, that kind of silence speaks volumes, especially for someone like Ndlozi, who's usually pretty outspoken on social media and in the press. Some people saw his silence as a sign that he wasn't loyal to the party, the EFF, or maybe even that he secretly supported the people who left. And when he started skipping important party meetings, EFF party meetings, it just fueled speculation even more. And that's where all these rumors about him being suspended and barred from the EFF's elective conference come from. Now the EFF is officially denying all this, but the fact that these rumors are spreading so much that multiple media sources are reporting on them suggests there's at least some truth to them. And the timing of it all is definitely adding fuel to the fire. The EFF's elective conference is right around the corner, and that's where they pick their new leadership. And Ndlozi not being there is definitely going to raise some eyebrows and could affect who gets elected. It's like a big game of chess. Every move has consequences that ripple across the board. And just like a good game of chess, there are multiple players, each with their own goals and strategies. But now you've got some EFF members who are completely loyal to Ndlozi, and they're convinced he's being treated unfairly, and are demanding answers from the leadership, the EFF. They want him back in the party. They see this as a blatant attempt to silence someone who challenges the way things are being done within the EFF. So it seems like some EFF supporters feel betrayed. There's definitely a sense that the party might be putting internal power struggles ahead of its own core values. You know, the things like inclusivity and social justice. And this is where things get even more interesting. There's another group that thinks Ndlozi is playing his own strategic game. They say he's distancing himself on purpose, acting like he doesn't care, while secretly gathering support for a potential leadership challenge. So he's playing the long game. It's almost like something out of Shakespeare. You know, the plotting in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to make his move. It's a It's just a theory, and it kind of shows the Machiavellian side of politics. You know, how things aren't always what they seem, and people's motives are often hidden. But what are the political analysts saying about all this? Are they on Team Ndlozi, or are they siding with the EFF leadership? Well, the analysts are being far more cautious than you might think. They're pointing out that sidelining Ndlozi could backfire on the EFF, and I do mean big time. It could create even deeper divisions within the party and alienate a lot of their supporters, especially the younger ones who see Ndlozi as their champion. And losing the support of the young voters could be a major setback for any political party, especially one like the EFF that presents itself as the voice of the future. And some analysts are even suggesting that this whole situation could have a broader impact on South Africa's political scene. But how could this potentially affect the bigger picture in South Africa? Well, a weakened EFF could actually benefit the ANC, the ruling party, the controlling half of the GNU, or so they would lead us to believe. But that's a different subject. It would take some of the pressure off them from the left for the ANC. It could also give other opposition parties a chance to gain some ground, maybe by appealing to those voters who are disillusioned with how the EFF is handling this whole situation. Just think about it for a second. A shift in the balance of power could have an impact on everything, from economic policies to social justice reforms. So the stakes are pretty high then. Beyond all the political maneuvering and the potential power shifts, what does this whole situation tell us about the EFF as an organization? It definitely raises some big questions about their internal dynamics and how they handle dissent. Are they really a party that welcomes different viewpoints and allows for healthy debate? Or are they becoming more centralized and less tolerant of those who question the leadership? Because if they silence someone like Ndlozi, who, as I've said, is really popular and well respected, what kind of message does that send to other members who might have different opinions? That's the key question. And this is where it becomes really relevant to you, the viewer. Okay, let me connect the dots here. We've got this political drama playing out, but why should the average South African care about what's happening within the EFF? It's easy to just dismiss this as another case of politicians fighting amongst themselves. But remember, the EFF has made itself out to be a party of the people. They say they're fighting for economic transformation and social justice, but their actions, especially in high-profile cases like this, sends a message about their values and whether they're really committed to their own principles. So, if they're seen as silencing a popular figure like Ndlozi, someone who many people see as embodying those principles, it could make people question whether the EFF is being sincere. And if voters are led to feel like the EFF isn't living up to its promises, it could lead to disillusionment and apathy. And that's dangerous for any democracy, because a healthy democracy needs engaged citizens who believe their voices matter and that their vote can actually make a difference. If people lose faith in the political process, it becomes much harder to push for positive change. It is important to hold all our leaders accountable and to demand transparency and make sure their actions match their words. So it's not just about one man's political career. It's about the EFF's future, the health of South African democracy, and the role that each citizen plays in shaping that future. Think critically about the information you're getting. Consider all the sides of a story and ask yourself, what kind of South Africa do I want to see? I'm going to leave you with this final thought to consider. Can a political movement that champions economic and social justice really afford to silence dissenting voices within its own ranks? It makes you think about the long-term consequences for the EFF. You know, especially when you consider Ndlozi's unique position in the party. I mean, he's not just some charismatic leader. He's an intellectual too, a scholar who brings a whole different perspective to the table. He's got that PhD in political sociology, and that academic background has definitely shaped how he approaches politics. He is not your average political clown. He can explain these complex ideas in a way that connects with a lot of people, especially those who are looking for more than just fiery speeches. He's brought a kind of intellectualism to the EFF, which has helped them attract young, educated voters who might not be into the party's more populist stuff. His nickname says it all, the People's Bay. So losing him could mean losing that connection with a really important group of voters. And it raises questions about where the EFF is headed. Will they go all in on populism, or will they try to keep that balance between intellectualism and activism that Ndlozi kind of represents? And what about Ndlozi himself? What are his options if he does end up leaving the EFF? He's a talented guy, ambitious too, and he's got a lot to offer. He could join another political party, maybe one that's more aligned with his views or, with his academic background. He could step back from politics altogether, focus on research, writing, teaching. He could even become a political commentator or analyst or a YouTuber. He's definitely got the brains and the name recognition to make an impact. And having been on the inside, his perspective could be quite valuable. Whatever he decides to do, it's clear that Dr Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is a major player in South African politics. His story is not over yet, and I think we'll be hearing a lot more from him in the coming years. I may not have known who he was, even though I may have heard his name countless times. But now that I know of him, I will be keeping an eye on him. South African politics is always changing. It's a dynamic landscape, with new people coming in and alliances shifting. And it's citizens. It's up to you, us, to stay informed. Think critically and hold our leaders accountable no matter what party they belong to. And as citizens, it's up to us to stay informed, think critically, and hold our leaders accountable, no matter what party they belong to. Thank you for watching, and if you found any value in this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Keep exploring this story, and come to your own conclusions. Do you have something that you would like to add, an opinion? Please pop it down in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video.